So they just approved it. Expect more audits and insult to Americans. Guys, promises are made to be broken according to our government, right? Do you guys trust the FBI? I mean, just comment a quick yes or no down in the comment section because I'm very curious as to how this community feels about them. Now, I know somebody who doesn't trust the FBI and even says that the government's arm is out to protect the president, even if he's wrong. Now, you guys are going to want to see this footage that I have because it's a little bit intense. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is already firing shots at former President Donald Trump as he's already aiming to reverse a criminal justice reform bill signed by the then president, calling it a jailbreak bill. U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy may be in trouble as a promise that he made when he was running for speaker was not been kept. Specifically, the one about removing the funding for the IRS worth $80 billion. Now, does this mean that we should now expect even more audits soon? President Biden on his end has urged both Democrats and Republicans to pass the debt limit deal, although we're already seeing resistance with one representative even calling it an insult to Americans. Now, when it comes to trouble though, Bill Gates may have some trouble on his hands connected to a report that says Jeffrey Epstein threatened to expose him before for an affair that he had with a young Russian bridge player. Oh, Bill Gates out there doing some hanky-panky? A woman who was also linked to a known Moscow spy. Wow, this sounds a lot like a movie and not real life. But I assure you, it is real. So guys, no time to waste. Definitely get in on the updates. Also, for the very best way to invest in gold or silver, check out the links in the description down below of this video. The back and forth talk for the whole debt ceiling limit has got me on edge, guys. I mean, I really haven't slept as much because it really has me worrying, thinking about, what's going to happen. And now that there's a deal in place, I'm even more worried that it may possibly not even help the American people. Republican Representative Matt Rosendale, he was pissed off as he said that he would not vote for this deal. Now, according to him, quote, the DC swamp that proposed the latest debt ceiling deal increase in our nation's history, adding $4 trillion to the existing $31 trillion in national debt. The Fiscal Irresponsibility Act fails to cut spending and continues to defund the Democrats and President Biden's radical agenda. It is frankly an insult to the American people to support a piece of legislation that continues to put our country's financial future at risk, end quote. Now, President Biden's pretty confident that this is the right move, saying this to both parties in Congress and to the Senate, quote, I strongly urge both chambers to pass that agreement. Let's keep moving forward on meeting our obligations and building the strongest economy in the history of the world, end quote. Now, when asked what Democrats would say regarding concessions that he made, the president just answered that he didn't make any. So, does that mean that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy bent to the president's will? For some, it seems as if his promise to defund the IRS of its promised $80 billion budget was all words and no action, with a deal outlining that the IRS will have $78.1 billion. Does this mean that we should expect around 85,000 armed IRS agents compared to the original number of 87,000? At least let's hope that some of them will have a phone, as it still takes forever to get in contact with them. But what do you guys think about this deal? From the IRS, let's move on over to the FBI, where Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene grilled officials from the Bureau.
So what do we have to say to the American taxpayers who work very hard for the money that they earn, pay the IRS, their tax dollars that pay all of our paychecks, pay for this building, the lights that turn on, and all of the research and everything to do with this entire thing? I'll go one at a time. What do you all have to say to the American people on that failure? Ms. Murphy?
I'd say the FBI is working very hard to protect the American people.
Do you think the American people trust the FBI, Ms. Murphy?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'm going to tell you they don't.
Ouch. Like, what prompted this dialogue? Well, it comes from the FBI and its alleged resistance to share a file to the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. But what's the file related to? It relates to President Biden and his, again, alleged connection to a bribery scheme. So Greene, who's a member of the committee, says that the FBI's director, Christopher Wray, seems to be doing everything that he can so as to not give them this document. He also adds that, quote, we know exactly what's on the document and I can't release any of that information. Our whistleblower is very credentialed and a solid source. We're doing everything that we can to protect our whistleblower. Our whistleblower actually fears for their life, end quote. Now, the FBI actually answered back on that and said this, quote, the FBI's mission is to protect the American people. Releasing confidential source information could potentially jeopardize investigations and put lives at risk. The FBI remains committed to cooperating with Congress's oversight requests on this matter and others we also may have, end quote. Do you guys think that the FBI has our best interest interests at heart and that they're out to protect the American people? Or are they put in place to protect the selected few? Now, if it's the latter, then that would spell out a lot of problems for us, huh? Although not as problematic as the reported threat of Jeffrey Epstein to billionaire Bill Gates regarding an affair that he'd had with a Russian bridge player who was more than half his age at the time. Mila Antonova, the woman in question, she did admit that she was on, let's just say, friendly terms with Bill Gates back in 2010 as they shared a common love for bridge. Epstein tried to leverage their brief affair between the two to supposedly threaten Gates, an act that a spokesperson for the billionaire has said was unsuccessful. And just to add more twist to the story, Antonova also seemed to be friendly with Anna Chapman, a Russian intelligence agent who was arrested back within the same year for espionage. Now, this is like a series from Netflix, and it's truly unbelievable what these people get up to. Any thoughts on this one, guys? Now, from a scenario that sounds like a spy movie, let's move on over to one that can be labeled as a betrayal. You know, those good old films where, two people were working so well together in the first half of the movie, and then suddenly, they turned on each other. Now, if you ask me, a real life comparison could be done for Governor Ron DeSantis and former President Donald Trump. Why? Because of this.
So one of the things I would want to do as president is go to Congress and seek the repeal of the First Step Act. If you are in jail, you should serve your time. And the idea that they're releasing people who have not been rehabilitated early so that they can prey on people in our society is a huge, huge mistake.
Just for your information, guys, the First Step Act was signed into law by then President Donald Trump, and it reduced mandatory minimum sentences, expanded credits for well-behaved prisoners looking for shorter sentences, and aimed to reduce recidivism, end quote. Now, it's very clear that DeSantis wants to distance himself as far away from Trump as possible, especially as some critics see him as a sort of a Trump lead. Does doing this help his case? Like, what do you guys think? Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. If you were to become president, what's the first thing you would do in office? Now, you can use the comment section for that, guys, because I know for a fact that this community has some of the sharpest minds that I've seen online. Now, if you were to ask me that question, I guess I would probably say that we need to help those who are truly down and out. I'm talking about those on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, our own veterans, low-income Americans, and, basically everybody who needs a pick-me-up. Lowering costs while raising wages would also be a key focus if you ask me, but then again, I'm not running for president. What I can do is try to help you guys here in the community get back to financial freedom. How can I do that? Well, you can always hit me up in the comment section down below. If you guys want to learn more about wise investments in the stock market, in real estate, investments in precious metals like gold and silver, we can also discuss how you can generate multiple streams of income either through side hustles, small businesses, or creating a home-based business. Feel free to hit me up in the comment section down below if you want to learn more about these things. Also, you should see 2 videos above my head. Be sure to check out these videos right now. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a huge thumbs up for the video. I really appreciate that. And also share this video with everyone you know. Don't forget to subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next video.